What's goody, YouTube? It's your boy Jersey here, and we're doing some more Pokemon talk, baby. Now, this video is not going to be a long video, simply because I don't really have much to say about this interesting concept, but it's just a concept that I think is really cool, or is what should have been done in my opinion. And I just want to start off by saying that I'm not an insider, so if this is something they end up doing, I promise you I had no prior information. I don't look at leaks. I don't look at anything like that. So, my interesting gimmick that I have for Pokemon is, in my opinion, they should have waited to do the time distortion warping aspect of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet until either next generation or I don't want to say a remake, but like a secondary game, if you understand what I mean. So like Emerald or Platinum, some stuff like that. And the reason why I say that is because while we do have a game for the past, we don't have a game for the future. And if you guys don't know, in Pokemon Scarlet, the time distortions and stuff like that are going to be dealing with past Pokemon, so more than likely going to be Hisui Pokemon. And then the future Pokemon, or in Pokemon Violet, you're going to be going to the future. And what future Pokemon are we really going to be pulling? Genesect? Like, that's about really Porygon? That's like really realistically about it. And the reason why I say that I think that they should have waited is they could have easily done a Pokemon Legends style game that dealt with the future very easily. Basically, they could have put it in any region. I would have liked to see Gen 5, since they're the next up on the chopping block for a remake, since Gen 4 just got theirs. I would have loved to see a Pokemon Legends Unova and stuff like that. And I think what that would have done would have allowed whatever mainline game that has the time distortion aspects be able to pull those Pokemon from Pokemon Legends Arceus for whatever game goes back to the past, and whatever game goes to the future, they can pull from Pokemon Legends Serum. You know what I mean? And you see what I'm saying? I think that would have been a really cool and neat aspect. But for now, we still have the time distortion aspect, but with no future Pokemon. And I can only see this working out two different ways. Those two ways being either in the past, they don't pull from Pokemon Legends Arceus at all. They leave the Hisui Pokemon in Hisui and only deal with fossil Pokemon like Dracovish, Aerodactyl, Bastiodon, Rampardos, you know what I'm saying? They leave those back in the past, that's the ones that they take for the time distortions, and they leave the Hisui Pokemon in the past, like obviously everything that we know, like Hisui and Gudra and stuff like that. Or they will take the Hisui Pokemon and make new ones for the future Pokemon. So realistically, if they choose option one, Violet's gonna get the short end of the stick because its time distortions aren't really gonna have a lot of Pokemon. It's realistically just gonna have futuristic-esque Pokemon like Genesect, Porygon, all of that. There's a lot more fossil Pokemon than there are futuristic Pokemon, simply because it just makes sense. It's a lot harder with the way that Pokemon's story is told to make a futuristic game. I understand that, but there are some regions that it would be a lot easier to do that. For example, Unova is one of them, Kalos is one of them, and I would say possibly Hoenn. I think Johto and Kanto can be done, since there's literally like no story in those two games. And then Gen 4, it definitely is a lot easier to make a past game than it would have been to make a futuristic game. Let's just be honest. But I would have liked to see that first, simply because we would have more options. Now, I want them to choose the second option. However, Violet still gets the short end of the stick which I honestly think the reason why Scarlet seems to be getting the weaker end of the table when it comes to version exclusives is because they're going to do something relevant with Hisui Pokemon. And I think that they're probably going to choose option 2, where Scarlet gets the Hisui Pokemon, which would basically even out the strength of the version exclusives, as long as the version exclusive future Pokemon they get aren't absolutely crazy. But that's just my own 2 cents on this. I think they're going to choose the second option. If I was a betting man, I would say they're going to choose the second option and just create new version exclusives, or I guess it would be regional variants for specifically the future for Pokemon Violet, where they're going to take the Hisui Pokemon and shove them into the time distortions. For Pokemon Scarlet, do I still think that fossil Pokemon will be in there? Probably. If I had to take a guess, probably. I don't want to be too certain. But for now, we just kind of have to be hopeful that Violet doesn't get realistically screwed over because it has no Pokemon to pull from. I would have much rather have liked this to be in a Gen 10 edition when we have a futuristic Pokemon game for them to pull from. But I say la vie. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm excited. I know I'm getting Pokemon Violet specifically, so this is probably why it hits a little bit home for me. But I don't really care what they do with the time distortions. I just know that I just think Pokemon Violet has a cooler theme. Past Pokemon, I played Pokemon Celestial and Arceus. I want to see what they're going to do with a futuristic Pokemon. If they don't do anything, bummer. Oh well. It's not like Game Freak is a perfect game company. It's not like any game company is a perfect game company. I still won't be disappointed because I know the game's going to be good. Or at least I have high expectations for the game to be good. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace out.